And Labor Day right around the corner. In fact, for those of you looking for something to do for Labor Day, especially if you've got a young one that plays baseball, I think our next guests are going to be a really nice option for you. That is Andy Powers with us from DBAT West, and Turtle Thomas, who is a legendary college baseball coach, going to be in El Paso Labor Day weekend for the first ever Turtle Thomas 3-day elite skills camp here in El Paso. Gentlemen, welcome to the program. Good to have you, and thanks so much for the time today.
Thanks for having us.
Sure do appreciate you having us today.
Now, Turtle, I've got a lot of questions for you, but before we get started, Andy, tell me a little bit about your relationship with Coach Thomas and really how it has evolved to the point where you're looking at bringing him into El Paso. This is something you have been working on for a very, very long time.
Yeah, a long time. I originally met Turtle probably back in 2003 when he was with LSU. My mentor growing up, I had just gotten into coaching. My mentor, Dave Bingham, was good friends with Turtle already, just from coaching and competing against each other in college baseball. And we hosted a camp up in Kansas City area. That's where I first met him. Then, our paths went on. He continued to do great things, and I was just trying to figure it out. And so, shortly long, or not too long ago, but it's been a while. We've been working on this. He recently retired from the Texas Rangers organization as their catching coordinator, and my involvement and relationship with DBAT. And DBAT and Turtle started to talk to each other, and then it just kind of rekindled that relationship, and it kind of opened a door for Turtle to start doing some more camps, which are legendary in themselves. I'm sure we'll expand on those today. And it just gave me an opportunity to reach out to him, reconnect, and then try to bring something special to El Paso, like we're fortunately been able to do now.
I love that. So your relationship with Turtle goes back almost 20 years. That's pretty impressive. And it started in college. And as Andy mentioned, Turtle, you were with the Rangers as the catching instructor. When you started out in coaching and then you go into working for a big league organization, it's got to be completely different, right? For you, was it ultimately something that, you were prepared for, but the inner workings of a major league organization compared to a college baseball program is just night and day?
Well, it certainly is. By the way, Andy, I think, has a tremendous memory to think back 20 years to meeting Turtle Thomas. So that's somehow must have struck him pretty good or something like that. But you're exactly right. College baseball, pro baseball is completely different. When you're the minor league catching coordinator, you're doing exactly what the major league catching coordinator wants you to do, and each drill and each technique that you're working on. In college baseball, you have maybe 4 or 5 catchers that you're working with every day, and you're planning each day exactly what you're trying to do, whether it be receiving that day, blocking that day, throwing that day, whatever it might be. So, it's interesting how it goes, but both entities, college and pro baseball, are a lot of fun.
Sounds like it. Now, people that are listening to this interview are probably going to say this is the first time an individual ever named Turtle has appeared on this show before. And I would tend to agree. 30 plus years, you're the first Turtle. So congratulations. How did you get that nickname specifically?
Well, a lot of people ask me that question, and it goes way, way back to the 9th grade. A very good friend, not an enemy, said I looked like a turtle. It wasn't that I was that slow a runner or anything like that, but I was 6'2", 155, had a long, skinny neck, and the school I caught for back in those days, back in junior high, had green catching gear, the school colors, so that chest protector looked like a turtle shell.
Oh, that's good. I like that. I didn't know if maybe they felt that when you went to block balls, something about maybe looking like a turtle when you went down low enough to grab it reminded them of that. So your story is much better than the one I would have gone with, Turtle. That's for sure. Now, as you have left, retired from working with the Rangers and have gone back into putting these skills camps together, it sounds to me that whether you're working with minor league players, college baseball players, or youngsters, you just enjoy the opportunity to pass along the knowledge that you've been able to acquire over the years and really help out anyone that wants to play the game of baseball and really improve their skill set?
Well, I think you're right about that. I'm one of those guys, and a lot of people say this, but I truly love to coach, love to teach every day. I'm out there either doing lessons, camps, whatever it might be each day. And, starting young men out that are age 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, you're trying to develop them. And that's what this camp really is. It's a specialty development camp. We're trying to get them where they're going to be good for their school team, good for their travel team, and eventually be seen by college coaches to be recruited by them. So again, a real specialty camp, but we really enjoy it. We love making our young men better and trying to get them, where they'd like to go one day.
Turtle, tell me some more specifics about the camp, some of the things you will work on with the youngsters, and especially with the people listening right now that have so many kids that play baseball, kind of what you'll be able to help them out with over these 3 days.
Great question. For the hitting part of it, which is Saturday and Sunday, what we're going to do, we first get them a good setup at the plate, a good stance, because that really leads itself to being, a more successful hitter. Then we go into lower body mechanics. We always talk about 4 options, what the front foot does, 4 options, what the back foot does or can do, for each hitter. A lot of guys in high school, college, pro baseball, do different techniques and so forth. Then we get into things like visual tracking, balance, standing inside the ball, things like that. A lot on the second day, particularly with the older group, we start really getting into how to hit the breaking ball, how to hit off-speed pitches, like also how to hit different locations within the strike zone, low, high, inside, outside. So in the hitting part, that's the big things that we're working on.
Now, as we continue here with Coach Turtle Thomas and Andy Powers from DBAT West here on Sports Talk, you guys first met 20 years ago. Turtle, are the fundamentals that you will be instructing the youngsters here Labor Day weekend, are they very similar to what you were teaching 20 years ago? Or has your instruction evolved as the technology has gotten better and better to help kids play baseball?
No question. I mean, literally, we talk about, you have to reinvent yourself as a coach every year, literally every month, every week. And in this sport, particularly in the catching standpoint, like receiving changes literally every day, a different way to do it, a different technique, whatever it might be. So those are, really important aspects for being successful as a player. But no doubt, every week, month, year that goes by, the analytics tell you different things, and you kind of really work around that and being able to teach your young guys and your players how to get better.
Now, you mentioned the first 2 days when it comes to hitting. What about day 3?
Day 3 is going to be, it's almost like 3 or 4 camps going on at the same time. An outfield camp, an infield camp, a catching camp, and a hitting camp, a pitching camp. And so what I'm going to do, of course, is the catching. So we really jump into the receiving, the 9 or 10 different stances that catchers use in the big leagues today. We really get into the blocking, and we really get into different aspects of throwing, like stride position drills, transfer drills, footwork, arm action, accuracy drills, all that sort of thing. So we really dive into it and really go deep, in the catching part of it in particular.
Now, you're going to have so many things going on during these 3 days. Will you be bringing along people assisting you, or will that be DBAT's staff with Andy and company?
Andy's staff is going to help out, and some other people. We always try to have in the hitting part 5 hitters per cage per station, and an adult or coach throwing or feeding a machine or front tossing in that particular cage. One of the values of this camp is it's a very small numbers in regards to each station. So we're not trying to have 8 or 10 guys at each station and they get one, round of BP, say 5 swings. That's not what we try to do. We try to get 4 or 5 rounds in 15 minutes before we rotate to the next station.
Andy, the first thing people are probably wondering is, how do they sign up? How many spots are left, and how can they get involved?
So there's several ways we can sign up. You can go to our website at dbatwestelpaso.com, and there's a link under our camps tab that'll take you right into this. You can also go and give us a call, 915-990-3228, or email us, stop by the DBAT at 4545 Osborne as well. Right now, as we're talking, there's about 10 spots left for the older guys and about 15 spots left for the younger guys.
Let's talk about age groups. What constitutes the older guys? What constitutes the younger kids?
So the younger guys is going to be roughly ages 7 to 12, and the older group will be 13 to 18. They'll be broken up into two sessions. The younger group goes in the mornings each day. The older group goes obviously in the afternoons each day.
Excellent. Will this camp take over the entire complex for those 3 days?
It's going to be the first time ever that we're going to shut DBAT down for a private event. This is a big deal, and we're going to treat it as such.
Turtle, it's your first camp here in El Paso, and I understand why. You've been with the Rangers all these years. So, Andy, you have not had the ability to bring Coach Thomas to town, but I know this is kind of part of your vision, is putting together camps like this with individuals that have so much experience and so much to give, like Turtle Thomas.
That's exactly right. I mean, and when you start looking just off the bullet list of or bullet points of his resume, I mean, you're talking about in college, 19 straight top 10 recruiting classes. Over 70 of his guys played in Major League Baseball, not just pro ball, but in Major League Baseball. So his ability to not only know what talent looks like, but also to develop that talent is, to me is off the charts. There's so many things about him. He's 2 national championships at LSU and Miami. I mean, this is the guy that other coaches, like me, especially when I was younger, but even still to this day, this is one of those resources that you continually tap into because he's always just that much farther ahead. He's forgotten more baseball than I'll ever know. And that's the opportunity that I want to try to bring to this community, is to share some of that with them as well.
Turtle, have you been to El Paso before, or is this going to be your first trip here?
When I came from Arizona State and moved back to Miami, I was the head coach at Florida International University and drove a moving truck through there. But I've never really been stopped, eaten, visited El Paso. So I'm really looking forward to it, and should be a great weekend on Labor Day.
It's interesting because when you were the minor league catching coordinator for the Rangers, I was wondering if you ever came into Southwest University Park with Round Rock, since they've been playing against the Chihuahuas for the last 8 years.
I spent most of my time from AA down. I really spent a lot of time in particular with the younger catchers in low A, high A, Arizona, where the rookie league was, and in the Dominican Republic. I went 13 times to the Dominican, to our complex down there. So really spent a lot of time with the younger catchers.
Did you ever have any dreams or aspirations of getting to the big leagues and doing this with the Rangers at the major league level? Or were you always more interested in the youngsters because that's what you had all your experience with college coaching?
All right. What always happens is that, I've always really enjoyed the younger player. Now, again, if a guy wanted to give me $1 million to coach in the big leagues, I probably would take him up on that. But, being able to be in like low A, high A, Arizona, the Dominican Republic, and again, I went 13 times to the Dominican, numerous times to Arizona, where the spring training complex was located. But I really like working with a younger player. And those players in pro ball that I work with were primarily like a senior in high school, a freshman or sophomore in college. And that was a lot of fun for me because they're hungry. They don't think they know it all. They're ready to develop and ready to get better.
Andy, and now I understand why you've been wanting to bring Turtle in for so long, because just from this conversation, it sounds like he's just going to have so much to give all the youngsters for 3 days that no matter what, whether you're a senior in high school or you're 7 or 8 years old, just kind of getting started in terms of kid pitch, you're going to get a lot out of these 3 days.
Well, you're going to, and piggyback real quick to something he said in the beginning of this, where, we met 20 years ago and I remember it. Since that time, I've probably participated in hundreds, if not thousands of camps, my own included. And I hardly remember any of them. I remember his because it stands out. It's called Turtle Ball for a reason, right? This is an experience different than I've ever seen before. But you're exactly right. You do not have to be, I know we call it an elite skills camp, and maybe that scares some people, that you don't have to be elite in terms of your skill level. I think that elite to me means that your attitude, your work ethic, those things become elite. I mean, my son is 9 and he's just kind of still learning baseball. He's going to be in the camp and I'm not even worried that it's going to be too much for him. On the other hand, we've got high school guys that have enrolled in this camp that come out here all the time, and I know their level of play. They're at a high level, and they're going to get a whole lot out of this camp. So no doubt about it. The information is solid. It's presented in such a unique way. I will also say that Turtle has also been very generous with his time, that when you're part of this camp, you're going to get a bonus session, which is kind of like the 4th part of this camp now. Saturday after the sessions end on the first day, he's going to host a recruiting seminar. So one of the world's greatest recruiters of college baseball is going to give not only the rules of NCAA, which anybody could find, but what I asked Turtle was to be more specific. How does this apply to the kids in El Paso? And more importantly, how do the kids of El Paso use this information? What is the exact strategy that he recommended for these kids to be able to get out and get seen? And there's a lot of fluff out there, and he cuts right to the core of it. And you're learning from one of the greatest who's ever done it. So that's also just a little bonus that he's going to throw in, which I think is incredibly generous.
September 3rd through the 5th, DBAT of El Paso on the west side of town. Again, off Osborne Drive. Give that website out one more time.
It's dbatwestelpaso.com.
Awesome. Well, listen, Andy, Turtle, appreciate the time. Look forward to having you in El Paso in a few weeks. And again, guys, should be a lot of fun for the youngsters out there.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having us.